Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. Fight of the Year, 160 pounds, who's making a huge mistake? Shields versus Scott, Episode 3. From Flint to global superstar. Flint has never been known for luxury or easy living. The city has endured decades of economic decline, unemployment, crime, and the devastating water crisis. Growing up there meant learning resilience from an early age. Now, the thing is, for many young people, success often feels out of reach because opportunities can seem limited. Sports becomes one of the few outlets capable of changing an entire family's future. And for Claressa Shields, boxing became that opportunity. Every time she entered the gym, she was learning combinations. She was learning discipline. She was learning accountability. She was learning that nobody was going to land in that gym and hand her success. Those lessons will become the foundation of her career. Now, as far as Claressa Shields falling in love with competition, it's quite obvious. Now, if you haven't seen the movie, you should go check it out. You see, there's some athletes who enjoy practicing, others love competing. Claressa quickly developed a passion for proving herself against the very best, especially against the guys. Winning wasn't enough. She wanted to dominate. This competitive fire separated her from many of her peers, and that mentality would later become one of her greatest strengths. And depending on who you ask, one of the reasons some fans view her confidence as crossing into arrogance. You see, Shields developed a mindset that every opponent should know exactly who the better fighter was before the bell rang. You see, fans usually remember championship belts. They remember interviews. They remember viral moments. What they don't see are the thousands of hours spent inside the nearly empty gyms. All the workouts, the training, the road work, the sparring, etc. The sacrifice starts young. No substitutions, no timeouts. It's all on you. And Claressa did that, and she had the amateur grind. Professional boxing receives most of the attention, but the amateur boxing is where elite fundamentals are built. And she built that. The amateur circuit forces fighters to learn quickly because every tournament presents new opponents with different styles. She fought everyone. You know what I mean? Boxing from the outside. She fought southpaws, different countries, people who throw combinations, free swingers, brawlers. She fought everyone, counterpunchers, everyone. And in every one of those fights in every tournament, it just became another classroom. You know what I'm saying? She faced, like, a lot of people don't want to give her credit, but you got to understand with all these boxers, male and female, coming up, they face unfamiliar styles. And Claressa Shields developed adaptability, a skill that would later become one of the defining features of her professional career. So that confidence that she exudes, well, you know, some people are going to have an opinion, but it started off as confidence. It didn't appear overnight. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people were asking then, and even now, they're like, why does she carry herself with so much confidence? Well, confidence rarely comes from speeches. It comes from evidence. Just for me, it's like, yo, try to imagine winning tournament after tournament, defeating highly ranked opponents, spending years proving to yourself that your preparation works. Eventually, the confidence becomes natural. That doesn't mean everyone will appreciate how it's expressed. Some fans admire supreme self-belief. Others prefer humility. The balance between confidence and humility has been one of the defining conversations surrounding Big Whoop throughout her career. Now, great coaching is extremely important, and no champion develops alone. Every elite fighter benefits from coaches who refine technique, corrects mistakes, and holds them accountable. You know, they don't just teach punches. They teach timing, distance, defense, patience, discipline, game planning, mental toughness. Claressa has all this. That's why when she gets in the ring, she's up and away. The relationship between fighter and coach often determines whether natural talent becomes championship greatness. Now, as far as her turning the pressure in the field, she continued winning. As she did, expectations grew. Suddenly, she wasn't simply another promising boxer. She became someone expected to win every time. That kind of pressure crushes many athletes. Others learn to embrace it. Champions often describe pressure differently. Instead of viewing expectations as fear, they interpret them as proof that people believe in their abilities. That mental shift can become a powerful competitive advantage, and Claressa has had that since an amateur. She became more than just a boxer. She continued to win, victories accumulated. She became more than an athlete. She became a symbol for Flint, for women's boxing, for young girls entering gyms where they often were the only female in the room. So representation mattered. When young athletes see someone from a similar background reaching the highest levels, impossible dreams suddenly began to feel attainable. And this is where the attitude is so important. Whether people support or criticize her today, few dispute that her accomplishments open doors for future generations of female boxers. Now, there is a double-edged sword of stardom, because success changes expectations. Once you become a champion, fans no longer judge only your performances inside the ring. They start to evaluate your interviews, your social media presence, your attitude. Look at your rivalries, your business decisions, your personal life, your conduct outside the ring. The higher an athlete climbs, the more every word and action is scrutinized. For some fans, Shields' outspoken personality is part of what makes her compelling. For others, it's a source of criticism. Regardless of opinion, it has kept her at the center of conversations about women's boxing. Now, we got to understand something here. By the time Claressa Shields reached the international stage, she had already spent years developing the discipline, resilience, and competitive drive that would define her career. So I think we need to talk about those qualities against the world's best amateur talent, which ultimately set the stage for her Olympic glory. Now, by the time Big Gwoat reached her late teenage years, she was no longer just a promising amateur. From Flint, Michigan, she had become one of the most talented young boxers in the United States. And the Olympic Games represented the biggest stage she had ever faced. For any amateur boxer, male or female, the Olympics are often viewed as the pinnacle. Unlike the professional ranks, where championships can be pursued over many years, the Olympics come around only once every 4. One mistake, one bad performance, or one controversial decision can erase years of preparation. For Shields, there would be no room for error. One of the most remarkable aspects of Claressa Shields' Olympic journey is the timing. Women's boxing was only added to the Olympic Games in 2012. Think about that for a moment. It was just added. So her timing was just really on point. Not that she intentionally did it, just how it worked out. For generations, talented female boxers never had the opportunity to compete for Olympic gold because the event, it just didn't exist. Layla Ali touched upon that. While you look at the male counterparts, they built Olympic legacies for decades. Women were only just given the same opportunity. Kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. That meant the women competing in London weren't just fighting for medals, they were fighting to make history. Every victory helped shape the future of women's boxing. And let me tell you something, qualifying for Team USA, that's extremely difficult. But it's not just difficult enough, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that shit is very hard. But now you talk about representing your country at the Olympics. First, the qualification is a challenge. Then to represent your country at the Olympics brings an entirely different level of pressure. Every fight becomes international. Millions of people are watching you. National pride becomes part of the equation. For many young athletes, the moment becomes overwhelming. And, Big Gwoat, she embraced it. She has spent years preparing for moments like this, and she did the business. But that's what happens when confidence meets preparation. By the time the Olympics arrived, Big Gwoat had already developed something that would define her career. Confidence rooted in preparation. Many people then were mistaking the confidence for arrogance. Elite athletes only see it differently. When you spend thousands of hours preparing, when you defeated elite opponents, when you sacrifice years of your life, you begin believing in your own abilities. It's no different than preparing for the LSAT Olympic competition simply became another opportunity to prove what she had already believed because she had done the work in the gym. Now, winning the gold at the 2012 Olympic Games in London, Big Gold accomplished something historic. She became the first American woman to win an Olympic gold medal in boxing. That shit changed her life. She wasn't just a national champion anymore. She became an Olympic champion. And that title lasts forever. No one can take it away. And 4 years isn't a long time. Many Olympic champions struggle after winning gold. Motivation fades, life changes, media attention increases. The challenge becomes maintaining the hunger that originally created success. Instead of slowing down, Big Gold immediately focused on repeating history. That required another 4 years of preparation, another Olympic cycle, another mountain to climb. So, come down, Rio 2016. Returning to the Olympics is incredibly difficult. Winning again is even harder, especially another gold medal. Because the opponents are studying your style. They prepare specifically for you. Everyone wants to defeat the reigning Olympic champion. Despite the pressure, Claressa Shields once again rose to the occasion, and she captured a second Olympic gold medal in the Rio de Janeiro Olympics in 2016. With that victory, she became America's first boxer, male or female, to win 2 consecutive Olympic gold medals. And that has cemented her place as one of the greatest amateur boxers the United States has ever produced. That's why it goes on nonstop about her 2 gold medals, because it is a big deal. But there's something the Olympics didn't teach, right? Olympic boxing develops exceptional technique. Professional boxing is completely different. It's a completely different sport. Longer fights, smaller gloves, different pacing, different scoring. Pro fighters have to learn to conserve energy over more rounds while also adapting to opponents who have more time to make adjustments. Winning Olympic gold didn't guarantee professional success. It simply proved Shields had the tools. The next challenge would be proving those skills translated to championship boxing under professional rules. And I just want to point this out. Olympic champions often become ambassadors for their sport. For women's boxing, Shields became one of the faces of an entire movement. This is what she was at that time. Young girls entering boxing gyms suddenly had someone to point toward. Someone had proven that women could become Olympic champions. Someone had demonstrated that greatness wasn't limited by gender. So whether fans love her personality or disagree with the aspects of her public image, her Olympic accomplishments remain part of American boxing history. Now, some lessons from the Olympic stage. Let me just say this. And now I realize why she talks so much about it. The Olympic years taught Shields several lessons that stayed with her through her career, up to right now, what we're seeing. Confidence, pressure becomes motivation, adaptability wins tournaments, mental toughness separates champions, success brings responsibility, history is written by those willing to embrace the biggest moments. Big Gold seems to be able to lock in when it comes to her fights. So as a professional fighter, training and getting in the ring, she continues to exude all these qualities. Personally, personal life, that's a whole different story. But these lessons became very critical once she entered the pro ranks, because now every fight carried financial stakes, championship opportunities, and increased public scrutiny. So it is what it is when it comes to Claressa Shields, an amateur superstar who has proved that she could dominate in professional boxing. The Olympic gold was impressive. To win 2 is even more. But to see what she's doing as a professional, what she did as a professional was impressive. To see where she's at now it is what it is. But the bottom line is she went from an Olympic hero to a professional superstar. You know what I mean? She had to start again from ground zero. The gold medals helped with the headlines. Turning pro is where her reputation was truly tested. You know what I'm saying? When they turned pro, it's 0 wins, 0 losses. What happened in the amateur, that shit didn't matter. You got to prove you can succeed under professional rules. Totally different sport. You know what I mean? People think that boxing is simple. But there's a reality. Amateur and professional boxing, they reward different skills. The Olympic bouts emphasize speed, activity, clean scoring punches. Pro boxing There's more of an emphasis on pacing, body work, ring generalship, durability, making adjustments over long fights, and hurting your opponent. Gloves are smaller, punches carry more impact, and mistakes become more costly. So these pro fighters have more rounds to solve problems. And that meant that Shields couldn't rely solely on that style that brought her Olympic success. She had to evolve. Expectations were sky high. She had to build a new identity. You know what I'm saying? But you see what she did. She chased championships and she quickly ran through weight divisions. She had to adjust her style. She even went from being a real technically skilled fighter to just knowing when she had to free swing and brawl. You know, she recognized that there was an issue with getting knockouts, so she started focusing more on just sitting down on punches instead of scoring and moving and just trying to basically just beat girls up. And for this, she's been praised by some, and she's also been criticized and ridiculed by some because it almost made it seem like she was just going through and just picking opponents she knew she can beat up after a while. But that's not how she entered the professional ranks. When she entered the professional ranks, she was definitely showing all that skill and all that greatness that made her a two-time gold medalist. Anyway, she seemed to have been learning the business of boxing. It wasn't just about getting in camp and training. Seems that she's tried to develop an understanding of contracts, television networks, promoters, sponsorships, purse negotiations, mandatory challenges, sanctioning bodies, media obligations. All of this was evident when she fought Savannah Marshall, then the fight she had after that, where you see Claressa was making over $1 million a fight. So that had everyone convinced that at that point, that she had really started to understand the business side, that she had a lot of support from fans, and that it was going to be up and away. And many fans thought Claressa Shields was on her way to becoming a gazillionaire. But what she's realized is managing a career is almost as important as winning inside the ring. And your team matters. And there's a huge weight of representation. As one of the sport's most accomplished female fighters, you know, she's been carrying additional expectations. Now, I do think she embraced a lot of them up front. Now, I don't think she embraces them. You know, there are a lot of people who look to her to help elevate women's boxing. You know, successful events, television appearances, championship defenses, interviews. You know, everything became an opportunity to increase visibility for the sport as a whole. And she seemed to have embraced it back then. The level of responsibility seemed to have motivated Claressa, but it also added pressure, but she seemed like she was built for it. So anyway, to see how she was able to transition from an amateur legend to a professional champion, it's impressive because that's not automatic. You get some people come and they crash out. They win a few fights and it's just not for them. You got to have patience, adaptation, continuous improvement, man. And Claressa Shields entered the pro ranks with extraordinary credentials, but she still had to earn respect one fight at a time. But that Olympic chapter had closed, the professional journey began, and when it come to her, Claressa Shields, she was out here winning titles at record speed, man. I think she was fast-tracked. You know, you get a lot of managers that try to protect young fighters, but not her. The goal is normally to gradually increase the level of competition while allowing fighters to develop physically and mentally. Not her. You know what I mean? She had that amateur pedigree, immediate expectations. She wanted championships. The fans wanted her to be in championships. The network wanted championship fights. Sponsors wanted a star. And she said she had a couple sponsors, you know, early in her career. Nothing huge, but she did have some sponsors. But now it's not quite there. But every one of those fights was carrying enormous attention because people were expecting greatness immediately. So a lot of learning on the job, man. Even to this day, you still wonder how come she can't get the knockouts. As an Olympic champion, you figure that, okay, you're going to keep learning the pro style, but by now, you know, you figure that she would understand that pro boxing is going to teach lessons that can't be learned in the amateurs, and she would have figured out how to get knockouts. It's not just about understanding the pacing, understanding body shots, understanding that the opponents make adjustments middle rounds, you know. It's not just about learning how to survive difficult moments. She has all that locked down, and she showed that. But she one thing she hasn't been able to show, although she seems to still be kind of learning on the job, is how to land a knockout punch. So every professional contest, and even this one coming up against Kay Scott, seemed like it's just going to be another classroom for Claressa Shields, where she's going to be learning things. But she did the business, man. Championship opportunity, she locked it down. World titles, building momentum, handling the pressure of success, and then making the mental shift. You know what I'm saying? Just thinking about, okay, this is what I'm accomplishing. You know, my mindset has to change. It's not even about chasing greatness anymore. How do I protect this greatness? So you can see in the training camps, you know, although she does it outside the training camp, people have an opinion. You can see that she was able to lock in, and she just has that hunger that she had in the amateurs. It shows up in training camps. Same hunger that she had when she was winning championships. And that's what keeps her, even today, where most people, no matter if they like her or not, they favor her to win any fight she gets into. We like to joke and say she has more demon in her than these other fighters. So history is filled with champions who lost motivation after reaching the top. The greatest champions find a way to stay hungry, and Claressa Shields, in some weird way, still seems like she finds a way of remaining hungry. But I'm just going to say this. She's had a lot of interviews, documentaries. She's been at sporting events. She's done television broadcasting. At a point in time, she seemed like she knew she wasn't representing herself anymore. Right now, not quite the same. Not quite the same at all where she is right now. I think the money got to her head a little bit. But that's what happens when you get a lot of visibility, a lot of money. Now you have constant scrutiny. People really start to watch you. Everything starts to get analyzed. Every statement you make makes headlines. The rivalries attract attention. And I think what happened with Claressa as a champion, she discovered that life outside the ring can become almost as demanding as life inside of it. But she seemed to have wanted to have the attention. But like we like to say, like she may have taken it to the stupid, because she had successes that accelerated her amateur career and pro career. It didn't eliminate the need for her to improve as a fighter, but it also didn't eliminate the need for her to understand her position as a champion and as a public figure, and to prove her attitude and her ways, which she hasn't seemed to have worked on. So anyway, she got a big challenge coming up now against Kay Scott. And I'm going to talk about Kay Scott in episode 4, her road to the championship, or holding on to her championship. Because her fighting Olympic Claressa Shields, although Claressa's coming down in weight, let me tell you something. A lot of the attention is on both of them. Most of it's on Claressa Shields, but you just got to put some respect on Kay Scott, understanding her story is unlike almost anyone else's in boxing. But I'm going to save that for episode 4. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.